it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine when that day comes and I find myself standing in the sun.
Hey, I think it's very appropriate at this time just to celebrate and to clap and to cheer for Vickie Rosenbusch. Did an amazing job, brother. Amazing job. Amazing job. I'm honored to be able to share this afternoon. My name is Jeremy, and I'm one of Mr. Rosenbusch's former ag students. It feels a little weird to call him Gary, so I'm going to call him RB through the rest of this message. So, you know, ag science is one of my favorite classes as a student, and FFA was one of my favorite extracurricular activities other than football. RB, he just spent time with us. I was in a special group of boys. They called us the Ag Boys as we went through school. And RB entered us in every event known to FFA. And he spent relentless hours training and pouring into us. And you know, every one of us guys can brag about going to state in every single event we entered. RB, I appreciate that. Like, thank you for all those memories. Thank you for all those tireless hours. I think I spent more time with you than mom and dad growing up, just out there. It was awesome. So thank you. Practicing for those ag contests and traveling to participate in them is where I met Vickie. Now, she was the queen. Okay, she was the queen. At first, and even honestly to this day, I was a little scared of Vickie. She's one of the very first people that I've ever met that she'll tell you the truth. Whether you ask for it or not, she'll tell you. She was the queen. She wouldn't sugarcoat anyone. No matter where we went on the school bus, Vickie always had her seat. She was always making her jokes. She was slamming us smart aleck kids with her sarcasm. She was putting us in our place whenever we got out of line. RB, you were always the good cop. Vickie loved being the bad cop. She loved being the disciplinarian, whether it be at home or whether it be at school. She was there. She accepted that role. She was the queen. Throughout my 4 years of high school, I truly grew to love and appreciate Vickie and her humor, all the sacrifices that she made for so many. She was truly a unique woman, a special lady. I, like many of you, were surprised to find out. I guess it was Saturday afternoon that I received an email from Coy sharing with me the gravity of the situation. Later that night, I found myself driving home from Baylor Medical Center after having the privilege of meeting with the family. And then it all just kind of hit me. You know, there's just different times in life that it just hits you. Like all the emotions just start to flood through your body and everything, and everything just hit. And I remember just thinking this short sentence, life is short. I cannot neglect what's important. Maybe it's just me, But often I get caught up chasing things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Anybody tracking with me? You know, it's times like this that all of a sudden it becomes very clear. All of a sudden it becomes just laser-focused clarity on what's really important in life. The older I get, the more I realize that life is short. The more I truly want my life to count. You know, Vickie truly did her best to make sure her life counted. She left an impact on so many people, and you being here is a testament to that. I mean, just look around. We couldn't find a building big enough in Glen Rose to have a celebration for her other than this auditorium. It's a testament to her legacy. And legacy is something that I love to talk about. I am a pastor now, despite the looks. If you attend Stonewater, you'll hear me talk a lot about legacy. Legacy is something that's really important to me. When it comes to our legacies, a legacy truth that I just love us to camp out on for just a little bit is this, is that you leave what you live. You leave what you live. You leave what you live. You leave behind the legacy that you lived here on earth. Now, while talking with Coy, he shared with me how confident that he was that his mother had a relationship with Jesus Christ. Coy, man, I just commend you for having that conversation with your mom. Because that brings us all comfort. That brings us all joy tonight. To know that today, Vickie's okay. We don't have to worry about Vickie. We serve and she serves a gracious God. God's not there counting down all those sly remarks that Vickie said and deciding whether or not she's getting in or not. God's not counting down every time she said damn or other words you're not supposed to say. God looked at Vickie and he says, I'm going to give you grace. Why? Because you're my daughter. Why? Because you loved me. And God showed her grace. You know, personally, I believe that Jesus Christ is the person throughout history who's had the biggest and greatest and like the largest legacy anywhere. It's really interesting that Jesus left this huge legacy, but he wasn't ever married. He left no physical kids. He had no, wife to pass on his name. He had no family to pass down anything of value. But I believe that Jesus Christ, the Jesus of the Bible, left the most significant legacy in history. So the question becomes, what type of legacy did he leave? Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. You don't have to turn there. Just listen. It says this. It says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you're his dear children. Vickie was a follower of Jesus. She had placed her faith and her trust in God. She'd received his grace. And according to this passage, she was his child. She could relate to him as his daughter. He was her father. He was her dad. Now, I don't know about you, but as a child, I always liked to imitate my dad. I always wanted to be like my dad. I have a suspicion that Cory and Tate, like to be like their dad, like to be like their mom, they imitated both. You can't spend much time with either one of them without recognizing they're Rosenbusch. It's not just their nose. See, a legacy starts with knowing who you belong to. Vickie belonged to God. She was his daughter. Ephesians, back in our passage, it says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you're his dear children. And then it goes on, and this next verse reveals Christ's legacy. It says, live a life filled with love. Following the example of Christ, he loved us and offered himself as a sacrifice for us, a pleasing aroma to God. Here's the legacy that Jesus left. It was a legacy of love. You leave what you live. Jesus left a legacy of love. The challenge from this passage is for us to leave a legacy of love. The challenge for us in this passage is for us to love. Now, this love that it's describing here is a sacrificial love. Don't think love like I love barbecue or I love Mexican food. By the way, I've been to Chachi's. The Rosenbusches have their own menu item at Chachi's. Who does that? Vickie does that. It's not that type of love. It's not a love that says I love food or a mushy puppy love that says, I have all these feelings or emotions. No. The love that Christ had was not a surface love or just a feeling. It was a deep-rooted love, a selfless love, a sacrificial love. He saw people who were in need. He saw people who were hurting. He saw people and he had compassion on them. He looked and he says, I see their hurt, I see their pain, and I see them in need, and I love them, and I'll sacrifice for them. It was action that was motivated by love. In Romans chapter 5, verse 8, it says, but God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. Oftentimes when we think of Christianity, we think of the cross and Jesus dying on the cross. If we're not careful, sometimes we can slip and think, that was an unfortunate event that took place for Jesus. No, it wasn't an unfortunate event. It was an intentional event. It was an intentional sacrifice that was motivated by love. Jesus looked and he saw mankind's greatest need. The need was sin. The need was to deal with sin. Sin once and for all. Sin causes breaks in relationship. Breaks in relationship with people. Breaks in relationship with God. Sin leads to all of our problems in this world, including death. The only way to fix the problem in this world is to deal with sin. Jesus saw our greatest need, so what did he do? He showed his love by sacrificing, by giving himself for us. See, Jesus was righteous on the cross. I like to think of the cross, a cross or an exchange. Jesus' righteousness crossed over to us, and our sin, our problems, our mistakes, our fumbles, our slip-ups in life came passed on to him. We received grace. That's what Vickie received. She received grace. Now, as she received God's love, she didn't just hold it in. She shared it. She shared sacrificial love with others. It was the same love that says, hey, I see their need. I love them. I will sacrifice for them. Many of us remember Vickie for being a fun-loving person full of jokes and laughs. Someone who was always in the center of social attention, always being around people who had a larger-than-life personality. There was more to Vickie than that. She was a mom. She was a wife who loved her family and showed that love by sacrificing for them. I didn't know this, but Vickie and RB got married just 2 weeks after he graduated. He wanted me to throw in, she wasn't pregnant. We didn't come 4 years later. They moved on to Stephenville. He started attending Tarleton to get his teaching degree. And she showed you love by paying for your way through school as she worked day in and day out. She showed you love by sacrifice. I think of all the times she sacrificed and showed love to so many students. And I was thinking, I don't really know many of my teachers' spouses. But I knew Rosenbusch's. Matter of fact, I had a hard time thinking of RB without Vickie. It's like the two just go hand in hand. She sacrificed by giving up time, by giving up miles. There's no telling how many miles Vickie rode on the Yellow Dog school bus all over the state of Texas. She sacrificed. She sacrificed for you, Corey, and you, Tate. She loved you guys. She was proud of you guys. She'd fight anybody if they said anything about you guys. She sacrificed for you guys so that you could have the life that you have now. She was proud of you. R.B. shared with me that one of the things that Vickie would often do each year, she'd pick one or two students that she would just intentionally pour into. Oftentimes it was a student that maybe didn't have just a great home life, or a student that wasn't fitting in school. And Vickie would make them her favorite. And she would pour into them. And she would sacrifice for them out of love. That was her legacy. It was a legacy of love. Even to the end, she was thinking about you boys. Corey, we need to be on the trip. Hey, we need to be on your vacation. It was all sacrifice. Sacrifice motivated by love. Just like Jesus. And if Vickie was here, she'd be nervous and trying to make a joke right now if she knew I was comparing her to Jesus. But just like Jesus lived a legacy of love, Vickie lived a legacy of love. She saw a need. She answered with love and with sacrifice. You leave what you live. It's true with Jesus. It's true with Vickie. It's true with me. It's true with you. Every one of us will leave a legacy. The question is this: what type of legacy will you live? I praise God for Vickie for giving us so many memories, so many laughs. But I thank God that she left a legacy of love. Would you pray with me? Father, I thank you for a very unique woman. Lord, I thank you for Vickie's smile. I thank you for just her outrageous personality. I thank you, Lord, just how giving she was to so many people. Lord, I thank you for how she loved. She loved loud. Thank you for how she modeled to me and to so many others what it looks like to be a wife to her husband, just a family. Lord, thank you for all the times, Lord, where she just poured out herself to others. God, I pray right now, Lord, that you just bring to our minds, every one of us, different ways that Vickie impacted us. And Lord, as we do, we just celebrate that. If you would, just continue in an attitude of prayer. Another one of Vickie's favorite people is Coy Moore. Coy's behind the stage. He's going to be singing a song. As he sings this song, think back to the memories, think back to the impact, think back to the legacy that Vickie left in your life. As we wrap up, we leave what you did.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I was blind, but now I shall see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set my hope secure. He will my ship and push me as long as I can go. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me, and like a flood, His mercy ran in love, amazing grace. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me, and like a flood, His mercy reigns. In love, amazing grace. The earth shall sing His song, the sun forever shine. But God called me beloved, will be forever mine. Will be forever mine. You are forever.
If you would mind remain seated, at this time the family is going to exit. On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank you for attending today. I'd also like to invite you to reception and celebration. It's immediately following. It's going to be in the high school building, just right next door to us. The easiest way is to go right outside these doors and follow the family down. It's actually a meal catered by Hammonds, so that was a favorite place that Vickie loved to hang out and eat. She actually had her table there. So it's just going to be a time that you can talk to the family, the opportunity for you just to enjoy with each other, share some memories, share some stories of how Vickie impacted you. Guys, again, thank you for being here today. At this time, you are dismissed.
When life leaves you high and dry, I'll be at your door tonight if you need help, if you need